Let's welcome to the CJU stage CJ's CEO, Santi Pierini.
Thank you so much. This is incredible. You should see the view from up here. So I'm fairly new to CJ. I joined earlier this year, but I'm not new to the performance marketing industry. I've been in it about 10 years, and I joined as CEO of Cake 10 years ago and asked everyone, what's the best way to learn about performance marketing? They said, you got to go to CJU. That is the place. That's where the best people are, the most impact. And so I signed up and registered for CJU, and in about 10 minutes got a reply, you're not welcome at CJU, you're a competitor. Well, I'm very excited to join CJ for many reasons. Part of it is to be here with you today, and so appreciate that. I want to thank you all once again for being here with us for a week of collaboration, a week of learning, a week of sharing. There's going to be great networking opportunities. There's going to be a lot of educational content, but mostly it should be a lot of fun, and you should go away, I think, with a lot of key takeaways that help you do your jobs better, but really be better as a community. We're going to be exploring a lot of innovation this week, but I always think it's a good time check to take a slight look backwards. So in 1998, when CJ was first founded, first part of it, if you really think about it, it was the very beginnings of a useful internet. There was a lot of dreams that were coming up about how commerce can replace malls and how it's going to be a game changer, and it has been. But 25 years ago, there was very little infrastructure that could make that all happen. And I think CJ had the same visions and the same dreams, but actually had a plan on how to make that happen. And it came down to the fundamental concept of aligning brand advertisers, publishers, and consumers all around the same goals. And if we could be the infrastructure for that and help that, we could all grow and succeed together. And I think 25 years later, it's still what's needed today. Everything's evolving. Influencer marketing is huge. There's going to be another evolution beyond that. So we have to stay relevant and stay on top of things. And this, I know this quote's been used many times, but I absolutely love it. In the early 2000s, I was a VP of marketing, and you were looking at a CRO and a head of sales would have these great reports from Salesforce, and there was a lot of understanding how sales could be better, how you could grow your funnel. But we marketers didn't have that many tools, and we were really struggling with, I know that half the money I spend on advertising or marketing is wasted, but the trouble is I don't know which half. And I think performance marketing was really created to solve that problem, if you think about it. You only pay for it if it works. You only care about things that perform and how you can make those perform even better. And I want to say from our industry, from personalized programs to being first movers and content publishers to multi-touch attribution, even pop-up ads and things that have come and gone, they were all designed and put in place to engage the consumer. And we've always been about engaging the consumer, understanding and measuring the results. So now it's 2024, we're at CJU, and what are the challenges we're facing as marketers? Well, full customer journey marketing is marketing now. The funnel is collapsed. We really need to think of things as what's the first touch point, what's the last touch point, what are all the possible things that can happen in between? And that has to be from awareness to consideration to activation. Channels like paid search and social, the costs have risen faster than the effectiveness. So we're having to pay more and more and more for decreasing gains. And economic volatility has really made performance more relevant than ever. Channel-centric marketing, the marketing silos that existed. Our department search was in one part of the company. We had our performance in another part. We had social in another. Those are all starting to come together because they all have to work together. They're not just competing for budget, they're competing for mind share, and they have to interact. And fortunately, no one is better at collaboration than this community. That's what we do. We combine the needs of partners, publishers, advertisers, affiliates, you name it. That's what we do. We bring that community together. So, CJ, we believe that successful partnerships around performance can be distilled into a relatively simple formula. You connect, you amplify those connections, and ultimately we all grow. Now, in the past, the meaning of connect and amplify were pretty simple. Advertisers collaborating with an extensive network of partners, including agencies, publishers, and more recently, content creators. But that's too narrow of an interpretation for today. We must leverage the concepts of connect and amplify to be more broadly delivered to a full power of partnership. So CJ's vision is to help this community expand far beyond what partnership marketing has meant in the past. As you participate in the next 2 days, we're going to reveal a lot about how this is going to work to empower you to capitalize much more effectively on Connect and Amplify to power your growth. And I love this slide. Lead gen is at least an $8 billion market, conservatively. But the problem is 47% of marketers feel that lead quality is their biggest problem. Influencer is even bigger with 22 billion, but 4 out of 10 marketers say they can't tie it to actual sales and results. That's what we do. If you think about, if you pick the best trusted partners, the best influencers, the best content creators, and you mirror those to the appropriate campaigns, you're going to have better results. Your lead quality will be there, and you'll be able to tie that influencer campaign all the way back to a direct sale. And these channels are too important to be siloed in other parts of the marketing organization. So we believe we, as a community, are best empowered to drive this change and to bring it all together. So we did launch CJ Leads. We have CJ Influence. It's a unique technology. There's strategic partnerships involved. There's expert teams to help drive results. And you'll be seeing some case studies this week, I think, that are pretty impressive. Among others, North Face, Ray-Ban. We have a great program with Maserati as well. And our parent Publicis Group did a recent acquisition this summer. You probably noticed it around influencer marketing. They acquired the market leader, Influential. With this now, we can offer a much greater breadth and depth in space moving forward. And I'm going to talk a lot about Influential. You're going to hear a lot of great sessions. There's some of the folks that are here today. But this is a game changer for all of us. It's the biggest influencer community on the planet. Tying that together with what we already do for partners is going to be a very important step in the evolution of our market. So we're also embracing the concept of connection around technology partnerships. CJ can build infrastructure. We can build everything we need to do to make these partner connections happen, our workflows, our reporting. But at the end of the day, there's great innovations happening out there that are outside the company. And to integrate with those more directly and more rapidly is going to be key going forward. So we're going to do what we do best, and we're going to partner with third-party providers to give you the access to additional game-changing capabilities. A great recent example, during Prime Week, no less, we announced a partnership with Partner Boost that really gives us access in a much more meaningful way to the Amazon store. So this collaboration gives our publisher community access to over 800 advertisers today. But I think as importantly, if not more importantly, it gives our advertiser community the ability to leverage CJ to track their Amazon programs with the same tools, the same tracking platform, the same reporting as they manage all their other online sales with CJ. Very meaningful, and there's a lot more partnerships like this that we're going to be announcing in the coming days. Let's talk a little bit about CJ and performance marketing amplify the other marketing channels. If you were here last year, you saw our updated research on how CJ programs can amplify the effectiveness of other performance marketing channels. The reason this is important is a lot of times we're competing for budget, search, social budget, and if we're able to say, no, if you reduce your performance marketing program to offset the costs in search, you're actually going to see less efficiencies from those search capabilities from your social programs. So this is a study from Capterra. Oh, wait, sorry, this one is actually the CJ piece. So there's a 92% shopper to customer conversion rate if you're able to use this as an amplification mechanism. I think one of the most important is there's a 36% higher average order value. So every time that shopping cart gets filled up, if you're amplifying with performance marketing, you're going to see higher orders. And then 153% more revenue per shopper. And this is great when you're trying to, again, protect shrinking budgets, when you're trying to grow programs, when you're trying to make the CMO, the CROs understand the value of what we're providing in performance marketing. And I also want to talk a little bit about customer journey insights. Again, full funnel marketing is key going forward. So how do we quantify and bring in the synergies to give you the tools you need to understand the value of amplification? Well, we have customer journey insights. It's game changing. So you can talk about the effectiveness, the attribution, how it all works across. And that's something I implore you to take a look at this week while you're here, either in the Discovery Center or part of some of the other demonstrations we're going to be doing. So very proud of this capability. This would be the passion project. Now I understand it wouldn't be a conference without talking about AI for at least 5 minutes. Probably the trendiest topic on the planet. I almost made a Taylor Swift joke as the second most trendy topic. But it's important to me, so a little bit of background. In 1994, I began a PhD program because I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life, and it was in AI. And it was all about, at the time, it was very nascent, obviously, but we were doing things on supercomputers to simulate surgeries, so that a surgeon could make all the mistakes in simulation, use those learnings to do better in field. And I thought this is going to be a game changer, but it was, again, very early into the technology. So this is not just a trend for me. This is something I believed in for at least 30 years. So, and it isn't just a vague promise of a brighter future. Many of you are already using AI technology in your CJ solution. Every day, our partner Discovery uses AI and machine learning to examine dozens of metrics across thousands of campaigns. And we're doing this to match and get recommendations on the best match for the partner that makes the most sense by campaign. Our predictive forecasting and benchmarking, I showed you the customer journey analytics, it all ties in to leverage the industry's best insights. We have so much data, you're creating so many transactions, millions to billions of transactions, and how do we make sense of all that? AI is a big help in that process. Network quality. Again, 5, 10 years ago, fraud was even a much bigger concern as it is today. As we widen that top of funnel and we bring in more micro publishers like influencers, content creators, we have to even be more diligent and let AI examine these models to analyze every aspect of the program. So while we want to do more, we want to go broader, we want to go faster, we need to do that in a way that we're protected. AI is a big help in that. And then in a few minutes, our Publicis Group's chairman, Arthur Sadoun, and Publicis Media's CEO, Dave Pensky, are going to talk about how Core AI unifies media strategies. So there's a lot going on with the parent company, a lot going on within CJ, a lot going on within your own companies. I've been to several of your conferences, and AI is a big topic because it should be. It can do some things that faster, more efficiently than we can. Creativity isn't one of those. We're always going to be in charge of our own creative process, but we need ways to amplify that creativity. So over the next few days, you're going to hear much more about how CJ and Publicis will power better insights in process automation. So last commercial on AI for this particular talk. Let's talk about grow, the thing that matters most. So in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, the flywheel effect describes how consistent incremental efforts in the right direction can create a compounding growth in energy. And what's that mean in our universe? Well, the flywheel effect for partner networks refers to a powerful cycle of momentum that builds over time through successful collaboration between its brands and its partners. That's something I think that makes CJ a bit unique in the partner marketing space, and why I think we're best positioned. If you think about our ties and our ownership within Publicis Group, that's very different than if we were funded by a PE firm, a VC firm that had a 3 to 5 year investment horizon, and then they need a liquidity event. They need to divest in that. So they're making short-term, decisions, and that sometimes limits your long-term vision. So in 2019, as I mentioned, we were acquired by Publicis Group, world's largest marketing platform and solutions company. I think you're going to understand how that's going to benefit you as we talk more this week. So when we talk about the globe, CJ's been the North American leader almost 25 years. And what I mean by that, most of our customers had come from North America in the past, most of our publisher network. But over the past several years, it's more than a decade, but I think we've really gained momentum in Europe, in Central Europe. We've got a lot of European customers and publishers here. Our European CJ team is here. Fantastic group. Last year, we announced an acquisition of Viv Networks, which gave us a lot of access to Eastern Europe. They're one of the largest affiliate networks in East Europe. We have a great presence there. We feel very good about it. But to achieve that flywheel effect and that network effect and really grow, it's a global economy. If you're an advertiser in the US and Europe, you want access all over the world. You want to be able to reach publishers in Japan and Korea. If you're an advertiser in APAC, you want to reach publishers in the US market, in the European market. So we formed a partnership with Tyru. It's actually an entity there where we've got teams in China, Korea, Japan, India, and we're making great inroads there. That benefits everybody in this room, because if you're not thinking about that type of expansion today, you will be. It's, like I say, a global economy. And then lastly, we're going to see some announcements in the near future where we're going to be gaining 500 million shoppers across the Middle East and more than 1 billion consumers throughout Latin America. So we were going to have, I think, a breadth of the world that no one else can offer, and that benefits all of us. Network effect, flywheel effect. It means you got to have partnerships and access. And I think a lot of that is due to our ownership and the belief in growth. We're both global entities. We both understand the importance. promised a little more on Influential. This is a game changer. This was announced this summer. It is the world's largest influencer platform and community. It enables CJ to combine Influential's incredible global influencer community with CJ's performance and commerce expertise. So I mentioned breaking down the silos and understanding the customer journey is very fluid. If we can track all the way from that first influencer that recommended a trip, recommended apparel, recommended beauty product, and we can track that all the way back to an actual sell at L'Oreal or at Macy's, we've done our job, and this, I think, marriage of Influential and CJ is the perfect catalyst for everything we're trying to do. And if I believe this for a long time, that influencers are really just miniature publishers with a lot more influence in some cases, and so they deserve to be tracked and managed the same way. So this will take us from awareness all the way through conversion. The Influential team is here this week. Seek them out, ask questions. We're going to be doing a lot of demonstrations on this, but personally very excited about this. So let's circle back. I notice my time's down to 0, so I'm almost, this is the last slide. Connect, amplify, and grow. It's a simple explanation of the ways that CJ is thinking about unlocking this power of partnership. I'll leave you with a couple of things. At the end of this week, ask yourself, how can the new partnership types like CJ Lead, CJ Influence help solve some of the challenges? Sometimes you're trying to reach a very targeted, specific audience. Sometimes you want a wider net. Between what we do in performance, what we do in leads, and what we do in influencer, we can offer any of those audiences and combine them in ways that no one else can. How can you use CJ to eliminate artificial constraints like national borders, channel limitations? These can all help you drive growth. And then finally, how capitalizing on everything we offer can help you succeed in the catalyst to connect, amplify, and grow your business ultimately. So this is really just the beginning. I look at this as our launch for this next phase of growth for all of us. The ideas and connections that you're going to be sharing are the seeds to fill with our future growth and our future productivity. Together, we're building something bigger than any one of us. It's a community, and it's obvious by the number of people we have, but the breadth of experience, the geographies that are represented, the industries, the verticals. I don't know of any other conference that has this type of synergies. And none of this would be possible without you, obviously. Our customers, publishers, our partners, our innovators. You're the heart of everything we do, and we're grateful to AT&T to be our platinum sponsor once again, but we're grateful for all of you that it's a flywheel that we're all creating together. So let me leave you with that. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and I very much look forward to what we're going to be able to accomplish together.